I'm very, very interested, Reg, in the year that this young man is going to have in 2022, because now everyone sees him coming. There's no, what's Micah Parsons going to do? Who is he going to be as a player? Where are we going to play? We know, and we now have an idea of what Micah Parsons is as a football player, and I wonder how teams are going to approach defending him. And apparently this question, cut number 2, was asked of him today. Micah, on teams game planning for you in 2022, how do you think teams are going to approach that?
I mean, they was looking for me last year, you know. I mean, it's going to be a little different. It's going to be more challenging. Like I said, I never back down from a challenge. The good ones, great ones, just find a way. And no matter what comes at me, I know things going to be frustrating, but I got to find a way to get home. I got to find a way to make plays, because that's what gets me going.
And I think that's a great answer, because when you start thinking about what teams are going to be deploying against him, more disguises, more, I should say, more coverage is trying to get him out, trying to identify him, you know, at the snap, trying to figure out where is he going to be, how is he going to be deployed by Dan Quinn and this defense. And I think the mentality that he has based on that answer is, look, I've got to find a way. I know teams are coming for me. They were coming for me last year, but even more so now, I have to find a way to make plays. And I think that from your unanimous defensive rookie of the year from a year ago has to be that mindset going into this year, because teams are going to be game planning for him significantly in 2022 now.
Yeah, it's
even more, I should say.
Right, because you got into the season and people were looking for him. But I think one of the beauties of Micah Parsons was the understanding that he could be back there as an off-ball linebacker, but he also could be a guy who got in the mix, both as a true defensive edge rusher and also just like as a linebacker that gets forward, whether it's blitzing or what have you. And I think that's why it was so important, or that's why it's going to be so important to see production from your right defensive end across from Tank Lawrence. It's going to be important to hopefully, you know, see sorry. All right, I'm going to pull people behind the curtain right now. I have a wild sore throat, and apparently that's creating a lot of coughing. So I will do my best. And
I'm gonna get you them CEPA calls here in a minute.
What you see right here? What you see right here? It's CEPA calls.
You guys see? Okay, you
look,
good.
I'm popping them every break. So just know I'm fighting through it. I'm trying to be a warrior like Micah Parsons here, but that's the thing is, it's going to be important for the linebacker core, the other linebackers, to be good, because what's going to help him is the mind that is Dan Quinn, deploying him in different ways, and ways that are unpredictable, because if he's predictable, that's another way where a team can have an opportunity. No, go ahead and get that off if you want to.
My bad. Well, Jamie Foxx came over me for a second.
Right. No, but if you end up in a place where you know exactly where he's playing, defenses can then, from the start of the season, when teams start installing and looking through the entirety of the season, they can have plans for how you play them. And then when you start scouting ahead during the season for that week, teams can start getting into that place. And it's going to be great and important if you have production at that defensive end, production at that linebacker core, where Dan Quinn can put his player, Micah Parsons, in the optimal place to be successful, and he's not hampered by other personnel.
Yeah, that's the part I'm looking most forward to this season, is how Dan Quinn figures out that many more ways to use him, because we saw him last year as a linebacker, as a defensive end, as a corner at times. He can play anywhere on any portion of the football field, and that's what makes him fun, because now not only can you deploy him in a number of ways, you can now build things around him that makes other guys on that defense better, because now they know that there's a guy that can make plays behind them and be able to cover up for things at times that they may make mistakes on, because Micah Parsons is that kind of a racer as a player. And that, to me, is going to be the most fun, is how Dan Quinn decides, I want to move him here, I want to move him there, I want to move him in this position or that position, and how teams will have to account for him play in and play out. Speaking of defensive end, which, you know, RJ Choppy, if you listen to Sean and RJ on 105 through the Fan, 5:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, you know he wants him to play exclusively at defensive end. But Micah Parsons is really good everywhere. So the question was posed to him, Micah, on DeMarcus Lawrence, cut number 1, and DeMarcus Lawrence wanting to lead the team in sacks. What do you say to that, Micah?
It makes me want to compete. You know, it's healthy for the locker room. I want D-Law to step up. I want him to be who he is. I'm not taking that away from him, but I'm sorry, telling him he's never getting that back. Ever in his life. You know, he got to enjoy it. I want him to get all the enjoyment that he possibly can, feed his head so he can be a 10-sack guy, great. But if 10's the number, I'm going for 20, you know. You just gotta go out there and compete, and it's just gonna be a race to the quarterback, like it or not. So I'm excited.
I wonder if Micah's anything like me. I was having a conversation legitimately yesterday about how when it comes to kind of goal setting, I don't like setting like hard and fast numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not really a great thing because there oftentimes setting a number is good because that gives you something to achieve. But I almost look at it as if you get to a point where you realize that that's not going to be achievable, does that hurt your confidence? And I don't think that Micah has that problem. But I guess in answering my own question, I imagine he's not like me. But do you feel like this could be something that's a little bad for him, where he's always been like so energetic and had all of these mentalities that I'm just going to go out and I'm going to dominate, I'm going to do great things, and he has thus far. But in a second year where, like we're talking about, teams are looking for him, teams are going to try and stop him. Do you think that he could be setting himself for a little bit of disappointment at some point where he looks up and he goes, I'm trying to dominate, but it's being made more difficult for me and I'm not dominating the way that I want to?
I think for him, no, because you could tell, and for some athletes, having this kind of irrational confidence is what fuels them. This is a young man who clearly believes in his own abilities to be able to make plays no matter what situation he's put into. And I think that's really good for a football player's mentality to have, because no matter what he feels like in terms of adversity he may be dealing with, whether it's injury, not having a great game that particular day, or having a couple of game stretch where he isn't playing the kind of football that's up to his standard, he has that confidence that he knows he's going to break out of it, and has proven to himself and to us time and time again that he's eventually going to make plays and be a difference maker on this defense. So I think that kind of confidence feeds to his teammates. I think that will be something that hopefully, as he continues to grow as not only a football player, as a person on and off the field, that will be something that he utilizes throughout the rest of his career, because they're going to have to depend on that irrational confidence to be the guy that makes plays week in and week out,
right?
And then be the catalyst for his teammates to have that same confidence, because this defense is going to have to continue to get better to be able to be in position week over week to deal with the kind of stretch of quarterbacks they're going to be dealing with. We're talking about Joe Burrow, Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford. They're going to be playing some really good quarterbacks this year. Micah Parsons is going to be a big reason why this team is successful on the defensive end.
I was so tempted to throw in some of them NFC East quarterbacks. It was like Carson Wentz, Daniel Jones. But no, don't get me wrong. Don't take that from me doubting Micah Parsons at all, because as the 214 said, isn't Micah Parsons essentially create your own player from Matt Madden? Yes. Right. That's one of those instances where you think back to last season where he's coming off the edge and a quarterback is getting out of there, bailing the hell out of there, thinking, all right, I got out of there, I evaded that, and Micah Parsons is on.
Ask Justin Herbert how that feels.
Bumper, right? Micah Parsons is still a guy who has ungodly speed, ungodly natural talent, and he's still in that point of an athletic prime, or maybe not even prime, right? But at least an athletic rise where all that stuff is still there in abundance.
He's 6'3", 245, and runs a 4.3. Like, what? Like, where do you create that at? Because that's the kind of physical freak that we're dealing with here. Like, I mentioned the Justin Herbert play. That was one of my plays of the year. That sack that he had in Los Angeles, where Herbert is, backing up, trying to create something, as a, quarterback trying to find something down the field. And the closing speed of Micah Parsons, you don't see that very often. Like, that's the kind of guy that we're dealing with here. I just wonder now, how does Micah take it now to the next level, given not just the talent and the skill set that he's developed in playing in the NFL now for his first year, but how that now grows, because how much more does he add to that tool bag? One of the cool things I remember seeing last year, of course, was him and DeMarcus Ware, the conversation that they had. How much does that grow, and how much more does he add to his bag to be that much more dominant as a defensive player? It's going to be a lot of fun to watch in my mind.